Stop what you are doing and assume the party escort submission position. Assume the party escort submission position or you will miss the party.
What's up, my wizards? This is Dev from SBMTG. And what I've got for you today is something kind of special. We're a little ways into spoiler season. The big leak just happened, and we got some pretty awesome cards in that thing. So I've been sort of preliminarily messing around with 3 or 4 of these key cards from the spoilers so far. And yeah, we haven't seen the whole set yet, but I think it's always fun to play test and see what cards do and what their interactions are. Especially cards we know are going to be important in the format. So today, I've got 3 decks that I've been sort of toying around with, sort of the top 3 decks. I've got a million decks I've been sort of conceptualizing, but these are the decks that I've been messing around with the most and that I like the most so far, going into what will be the new format. First of all, this is green-white hardened scales, which I'm not even sure that this list entirely needs hardened scales, but it's incredibly obvious that the interaction between Nissa and hardened scales is absolutely ridiculous, and it turns out. And it's not hard to do. I mean, by the 3rd turn, you can have this interaction online, just totally set up, you know. Make a plant that turn, and then the next turn, you make a guy with 2 power, like immediately. That's pretty cool. And the interaction between, not just Nissa and hardened scales, but Nissa and Gideon is really cool too. If you've got a Gideon emblem out, then Nissa produces, 1 power guys. That's not bad at all. Or you can use Nissa's counter ability to make Gideon's guys even bigger, with an emblem out and, being able to neg to Nissa. That makes Gideon's tokens like 4/4s, So that's pretty awesome too. So they both planeswalkers have really good interactions, and obviously Gideon's extremely powerful. So anything that has a good interaction with him is good. And you can curve into it, 3rd turn Nissa, 4th turn Gideon, which is really good, especially if, last turn you made a plant, and then this turn you play a Gideon, you make a creature with Gideon, and you neg to Nissa, make all those dudes bigger. So those are really good interactions right there. Also, Hangerback Walker is obviously in the deck. Nissa's very good with Hangerback Walker. And what you're trying to do with this deck, really, is go into a sort of mid-game board state situation where you're just sort of in a war of attrition, you're trying to accumulate a larger board state. The deck is very, very good at doing that. Over the long game, has a lot of consistent threats. It can make creatures with both of its planeswalkers and make those creatures bigger with both of its planeswalkers. That's really amazing. And we get access to things like Silk Wrap and especially Dramoka's Command, which we already know is really good with Hangerback Walker, and pretty much anything else in this deck. We also get to play a suite of Megamorph and Morph creatures in this deck, which is really good, not only with hardened scales, but just these happen to be some of the best cards in the format. Death Mist and Den Protector especially. So, I mean, the deck just, a lot of, and Hidden Dragonslayer is really good too. Just another form of removal. It gives us like 9 forms of removal overall with your Dramoka's Command, Stasis Snare, Silk Wrap, and the Hidden Dragonslayer. That's not bad removal for a deck that really is just trying to generate board stakes. We can also blow their guys away. It's not bad at all. Our guys will get huge over the course of the game. We can generate as much as 4 or 5 power within just a few turns. With the deck, not even super hard, If we can keep a Nissa or a Gideon on the board, they can generate outstanding value, especially if they're out there together. The deck is just absolutely ridiculous if it can make it to that mid-game board state situation where it's just trying to grind out as many dudes and make them as big as possible. It's really good at doing that. And it's exactly why I'm not really sure the deck needs hardened scales, but its interaction with Nissa is just freaking ridiculous. Up next is Big Red, which might be making a return to form. I really hope. I've always liked, red mid-range, Big Red, whatever you want to call it. We've got a lot of good pieces for it, and like I said, the set's not even spoiled. If we get like one good 2-mana direct damage spell, it's on for Big Red and for aggro for that matter, That could really take aggro a long way in this format. But Big Red, again, all these options right here. A lot of our drops are just great throughout the course of the entire game, Dragon Master Outcast, fine drop. Abbott is a good drop, although he was a 4 of. Drop down to a 3 of because we don't want to, on the 2nd or 3rd turn, just like Abbott or Chandra on accident. That does happen. We're playing a lot of very expensive cards, so Abbott sort of loses some appeal. But we can still, play lands off of Abbott. That's one thing. We can play the direct damage spells off of Abbott, and there's a lot of good uses for him in the deck. There are a lot of cards, if you haven't noticed, 7 with Spell Mastery, but we're playing something like 14 spells. Spell Mastery not usually an issue. And Goblin Dark Dwellers, the thing that was just spoiled this morning, had very minimal play experience with it. But when it does nab an Exquisite Firecraft, That's really freaking good. And we've got Touch of the Void in here too, if you didn't notice, and Hordling Outburst, because I think that they're very good targets for something like Goblin Dark Dwellers. Especially, I love Hordling Outburst, you know, but I really like playing Dark Dwellers as removal. You know, we get bodied removal, 4/4 with Menace. We're able to play an Exquisite Firecraft or a Fiery Impulse or whatever we got. Touch of the Void in there. Blow away one of the guys and get a huge body of our own. That's hard to block too. Menace is really good when you're blowing away one of their creatures. So, I mean, I do like the card so far. He is just the one-of. But Chandra enables us to play more one-ofs sort of more confidently in this deck. Reason being is she's always going to draw us at least one card a turn, and I haven't heard many people talk about this, but in playtesting, what she can do is, you know, you draw a card, it's not a card you want, draw 2 more. You know what I mean? You're able to pitch that card, draw 2 cards instead of the usual 1. That's not bad at all. So the card filters really, really well, no doubt. And there are turns where in the mid-game you'll have a couple of cards in your hand, and you can draw a bunch of cards off of a Chandra. And Chandra is a 6-mana Planeswalker, but I am playing 3 copies, and I wanted to play 4, honestly, but I just don't know that we should do that, to be seeing Chandra too much at that point. But just like Gideon, you can just, you know, use her Neg X ability and take her out, you know, as soon as you play her, just use her as a board wipe, then you can next turn play another Chandra, you know. So it's not like you're ever going to have a bunch of Chandras just sitting in your hand, you know, being dead cards, because you can always Neg X Chandra to remove her and kill any small creatures, play your next Chandra, and that way you can get 2 activations of a Chandra in the same turn. That's pretty cool too. She can win you the game 3 to 6 damage at a time, especially if you're able to, you know, Neg X and keep her around. If you're able to Neg 3, kill a bunch of dudes, leave her around for a turn cycle, and then she can start dealing 6 damage a turn for you. She wins the game all by herself, sometimes. Aside from that, we're playing a ton of really good threats in the format. Sarkhan and Thunderbreak Region are just great cards. And we're able to play 4 Draconic Roar in here, I think, fairly confidently, because not only do we have the 4 Thunderbreak Regions, but Sarkhan's, he produces dragons. Dragon Master Outcast can produce dragons. That way, a top deck Draconic Roar later on in the game is usually much easier to pull off. Hangerback Walker and P and Karan obviously go together. You know, I think that we're able to play more than the average number of 4 drops in this deck. It's a big red deck. So I slid in a P and Karan there. Worked out fabulously so far. Hangerback Walker, very, very good with that card, you know. We can sacrifice the Walker to the P and Karan, bust it to make a bunch of dudes, and then sacrifice those dudes P and Karan if we're in a board state sort of situation, you know. Inevitability, that's very important. P and Karan's a really good card, by the way. That's all for that one. Last deck, and this is the one I've been testing the longest because the key card has been spoiled for the longest. This I call Turbo Ayli. Almost every single card in this deck, save for a 4 of Den Protector, gains you life in some form or fashion, and most of them are creatures. 30 creatures in the deck, which is a ton, and really good for harsh sustenance, by the way. We can often take out 3, 4, 5 power dudes with this thing. And the deck can obviously stall really well. We get to the mid-game very easily, even against aggro, because almost every play we make will gain us life and keep us in the game until where we need to be. And, you know, what we really need is, you know, some sort of dedicated card draw. That'd be awesome, but I'm too chicken to play Painful Truths. I don't want to play anything that reduces our life total. Same with Read the Bone, so I don't know what to do about that, but I would like to draw cards in the deck. But we do have more powerful cards in the deck just than small creatures. We've got Siege Rhino and Wingmate Rock to close the game out, both of which, by the way, gain us life. I mean, even our huge, amazing threats that already see good play in Standard gain us life. So just the deck has been a blast to play so far, and it's fairly easy to get to 30 and more life, you know, in Standard with this deck. It's like every single play will gain you some amount of life. Sorin has been especially good in the deck. Even if we don't have Rhinos or Wingmate Rocks out, Sorin is ridiculous in that we can make even our small guys get a little boost, get lifelink, swing in, gain us a ton of life, and we can probably post-combat start blowing stuff away with Ayli. You know, even if we lose a couple of guys, we don't care. They're going to lose their best guys post-combat. So, just really good play is Sorin in this deck. Well, that's all I got for now. Let me know how you felt about all of these down there in the comments. I know it's still really early. We got a lot of set to see. I just wanted to see how certain key cards interacted with cards that are already established in the format. In the case of Nissa, it's especially good. But Chandra has a lot of good applications, and Ayli, she's in the thing, you know, but she could also make a spot in Abzan or even especially Aristocrats or Rally type decks. So she could make a splash in other areas. I just wanted to make like the most life game focused deck possible. But there are other questions, you know, how will the rest of the set shape out? Will the Eldrazi be a real deck and not just a ramp deck that plays 2 Ulamogs and calls itself an Eldrazi deck? How's that going to work out? There's a lot of questions questions. How's the surge mechanic going to be? Is that going to be awesome? You know, so there's plenty of things to worry about later on. I just wanted to see how these cards worked out, you know, in the early stages. So far, it's been awesome. I'm Deb from SBMTG. If you enjoyed the content, do us a favor, smash thumbs up. That helps, and it takes like no time, and it makes us feel awesome. So do that, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, my wizards.